50 years of hip hop, right? Yeah! Come on, who's excited right now? All right, y'all, I'm here to bring it on. You guys make some noise. Come on for Reddit's very own Ava Toro.
Yes, hey guys, excited to be here today. Whew. Hey guys, as you know, my name is Ava Toro. I am one of the BPR leads under networking. I'm also one of the senior research analysts under the Global Insights team at Reddit, and very excited to introduce an integral part of hip hop today. So, with no further ado, I would like to start an introduction for the one, the only, Styles P.
Peace, y'all.
Yes, as he makes his way out, I would like to do a nice but brief intro about the great one, Styles P, aka The Ghost, one of the most sought after MCs of his generation, businessman and author, born David Styles in Queens, New York, but raised in Yonkers, rose to prominence as 1/3 of the illustrious group The Lox, along with his fellow group members Jadakiss and Seek Louch. They were discovered by fellow superstar and Yonkers native Mary J. Blige in 1994. The three-man team then teamed up with music under two of the most storied hip-hop dynasties, Sean Diddy Combs, led by Bad Boy Records, and the DMX-held Rough Riders label. Styles has become one of rap's most consistent and lauded rap lyricists since then. His debut album, The Gangster and the Gentleman, that released in 2002, was led by the Swiss Beats-produced single, Good Times. 4 years later, he returned under the billing Styles P as Rough Riders released the much-delayed sophomore album, Time is Money, in December of 2006. 15 solo albums, and 6 collaborative projects later, Styles has worked with names such as Rick Ross, A-Rap Music, Scram Jones, Jahil Beats, and many more, making him an integral piece to the Lox legacy. But hip-hop is not the only place that you've made your name. After pledging retirement for his solo career in 2003, Styles has focused on ventures outside of music, including Pharmacy for Life, a health and wellness business dedicated to natural cures, and his book, Invisible, creative branding agency, Doubt and Belief, and his health-focused Web3 community, Pharmacy Phantoms. But let's take a minute and really unpack what you have going on with Pharmacy for Life. Coined as hip-hop's first health food store, Pharmacy for Life helps brings vitamins and nutritional supplements to all communities, along with the education of the benefits of these products. Because y'all know we need to understand what's best for our bodies, minds, and spirits, y'all. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Your impact on the music scene has been massive, and we're gonna chat about all the things that you've contributed throughout your incredible journey. So let's dive in and get into the good stuff, y'all.
Let's go.
First off, as a Black man that came up around the 80s, and you have been coined in other interviews as saying that this was a time where falling into the program was expected for Black people. How have you navigated breaking that mold and using hip hop to break into your other endeavors?
I feel I navigated through hunger and wanting to grow, and just wanting to be more mature, more independent. Definitely, I feel, you know, if you came up in my era, most of y'all haven't. I look pretty young. Ooh, she, that was a little. She was like, her. She's your age. She's your age. Well, most of you have come up in an age where technology has been in effect. In the 80s, there was no technology. I've been around before the cell phone was out pretty much, so, you know, when you used to put quarters in a phone booth and things of that nature. So I believe throughout technology, throughout the years in hip hop and becoming more technically advanced, you see yourself in a different light, you see the world in a different light, and then you start going for things, and you, of course, use your foundation, which for me is hip hop, to navigate, to find the places you want to get and to do the things you want to do. So through hip hop, hunger, and just using the tools that's in front of me, I've always just figured a way to keep moving.
No, that's real. And you've delved into the health and wellness side of businesses as well. Yeah. And so for your companies like Juice for Life, Pharmacy for Life, can you share your personal story or turning point that led you to become so passionate about promoting healthy living and healthy lifestyles?
I would say my turning point came, well, I guess subconsciously when I look back, I've always somewhat been on a journey without really knowing. I quit red meat my first year on Bad Boy, but when I made my solo album, I actually ended up going to the county pen during that time for when I released Gangsta and a Gentleman. And that wasn't my first time in the county pen, it was my second time. So sitting there thinking back in 2003, like what is making me tick, what's making me be pushed by ego and pride, what makes me do stupid things when I'm a smart person. I came up with my own conclusion that I was chemically imbalanced, and it had to do with the food I was eating. And at the same time, through music, I was able to move to a more affluent neighborhood where I would see the differences in the stores that they have and the stores that we have back where I'm from. Like, you move to an affluent place, or even when you drive by, you don't see a fast food place on every corner. You don't see a liquor store on every corner. And, you know, when you're in the hood, that's exactly what you see every few blocks. So I started understanding that health is a big part of how the energy you take in, the energy you give off, how you feeling about yourself, how you treat people, and just what the things that you put in your body really, you know, it comes out also. So 2003, when I got out, I had stopped eating chicken. I was a vegetarian from 03 to 13, but every Thanksgiving I ate with my family. That would be the one day I would eat turkey, the mac and cheese, yams, everything. Thanksgiving of 13, I felt horrible. I mean, after it, I felt horrible. And the end of November, like, it was more than just a day. It felt like somebody hit me with a bat. And I just remember saying for New Year's, I'm gonna go on a 3-week cleanse, my whole household. And New Year's Eve, 13, I went on a 3-week cleanse and never went back.
Hey.
Time went on. I felt good. I was already on my juice wave. I had lost a significant amount of weight. My temper was down, but I believe being plant-based led me to a different sort of spirituality level. It really, really just calmed me down, made me feel better, and made me be more mindful of the energy that I have, more mindful of other beings. Even I started caring about like flies and shit. You gotta do it. Like, is that bug gonna make it home? Like, you know, is that the mother bug, the dad bug? And I never had that kind of conscience before, so it felt good to, you know, just to walk in that light, to walk in that path of just feeling better. And career-wise, if you heard of Locks, then you heard of D-Block, and you know our slogan's no security. And if you know my past, history of violence, I've always been a man who was never much afraid of anything, and I was willing to do stupid shit early, to put it in a plain words. But then I noticed also, like, it was a different form of no security. I walk around with creators, my security, and just good energy, which it just kept picking up. And so, you know, when you feel good, I felt a duty within myself to try to inform as many people as I can about, like, you know, fruits and veggies make you feel better, make you more mindful about yourself, just a healthy lifestyle, period. I am plant-based. I don't force the lifestyle on anyone. What I do tell people is just try to be more balanced in whatever you're doing. Look how everybody looks beautiful. You look great today. A lot of us don't pay attention to the insides as much as we pay attention to the outsides. Like, you're going home, you're showering 3 times a day. You always make sure your body's clean. You know where your watch is from, your hoodie, your pants, your sneakers, your shirt. But you have to know what you're putting in your gut, and you have to try to clean your gut out once in a blue. Just imagine how much you're cleaning the outside of your body, and then go, what am I doing for the inside of my body? And I think those kind of things, and listening to the late, great Dick Gregory, Dr. Zebi, also helped me see a different path.
No, with all of this growth and development and just spiritual and mental cleansing, how do you think this shift has affected your musical expression?
That's a hard thing to navigate. I've always, that's a great question. I think it affected me great because it gives you more energy. The better you feel, it's easier to work and it's easier to have clearer visions. But it made me also, I was I've always walked a fine line between, I'm one of the few only MCs who does gangster shit and conscious shit at the same time. That's just,
we are not
that
a
both
monolith.
communities like really accept me. That's like a very hard thing to do, and I never really noticed that till later on. To be honest with you, is I always tell people, to be honest with you, I'm a person that's 180 negative, 180 positive. I choose to work on my positive side though. I don't like to lie to people and be like, I'm all positive dude, because I'm not. I just choose to. I know what half I want to be and what half I want to work with, but that's circumference. So I stick to that and just try to focus in on that and exude that. So I just make what comes out of my heart most of the time.
Now, this is a good segue into what topics do you think need to be brought up in hip hop more, or how do you think hip hop can join this health conversation?
Health needs to be more talked about in hip hop, just for the fact that it's the most influential genre in the world, and it affects our communities a lot, our health issues and the things we go through. I feel like diabetes, almost anything health-wise, it affects the black community first, and it makes me go, what the fuck, pardon my French, but it's like, you know, and the real wake-up call for me, which was probably scarier than most people, was even during a pandemic. I'm like, how could a virus that doesn't know color, that, you know, doesn't look at the carrier where it's going to, how could it affect one community more than the others? And that doesn't make sense, like, you know what I mean? So that kind of, what happens to black and brown people in poor communities, and just pretty much any community, really, it, you know, sometimes that keeps me up at night. So I believe hip hop is it's for the world, but I believe we definitely all need to focus on health more, all of us.
No, that's really, it sounds like this is definitely a collaborative and community-based effort, like a lot of parts of your career, like working with the Locks, and then also inversely doing your solo career. How do you compare your approach to working with other people versus working by yourself?
Well, by yourself, you got more work to do.
That's
By yourself, you got more work to do. When you work with others, steel sharpens steel, and you get to enjoy their craft and their talents as much as you enjoy yours. You bring your competitive spirit. I'm competitive by nature, so you want to make sure you sound good with the person you're collabing with, and you want to make sure you're making sense and that the chemistry is coming off. But as a soloist, I think you dive more into how you personally feel and what your personal views are, and that's how I personally approach it myself.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's anything that you miss outside of just like being able to divvy up the responsibilities with working with the group?
No, I don't feel like I miss anything. I feel like whatever I'm doing, I'm supposed to be doing at the moment, is how I pretty much view it. If I'm doing something solo, that's where creatively I'm supposed to be at the moment. And if I'm working with someone else, that's where I'm supposed to be. I don't worry about how I'm doing it, because if I have to do it, I'm gonna get it done. So I don't let my mind stress on how I'm gonna divvy it up. I just let the flow go natural, and whatever I'm doing the most is what I'm meant to be doing the most at that particular time period.
No, I can understand that. And as we shift to like focusing more on your time in hip hop, what moment as you went solo you feel like really defined your like career at that time?
I would say my first solo album. Because that was more of an introduction of who I am to the hip hop world. You have Styles that's in the group, and you have Styles that's a solo artist. So I always believe your introduction to the world and to the people, for me, is the most important one, because that's where you could start tracking my journey as a solo artist.
Yeah, so evolution, it's going to happen with individual artists, but it also happens in hip hop as well. How do you think hip hop has changed over the years, meaning mainly like in terms of the sound and the recognition? How has that evolution been from your perspective?
As far as the sound is going to always change because technology advances. Like I said, when I first started rhyming, it was reel to reel. Some of y'all was like, what the hell's a reel? It's like the movie, it's like tape, and if you mess up, they would have to cut the part you messed up out and tape the stuff together. Now to where it's Pro Tools, 12, 13, maybe 4, I don't even know what Pro Tools we on. But it's you can send a song across the world in under 10 seconds. So those are two big, you know, two different stages of life. And I feel hip hop is always maturing and navigating through the technology we use. Before, like if you're from New York, you use mostly New York slang. As to now where your kids on a computer and they use slang from everywhere because then now they're more accessible to other communities, how other people talk. They see it before, we just knew, like you would have to hear an Outkast record to figure out what they're saying in ATL. You have to listen to UGK to figure out what they're saying in Texas. Now you just get online and hear what everybody sounds like. And I think that has also changed the sound of music. Like when I hear, you can put on the radio today and not know what in New York and not know you're in New York. So there's clearly a change. As far as recognition in hip hop, what I do wish was happening today, and I don't blame it on the youth because it's a two-way street. So I think the youth don't respect their elders enough, which leads to them not, and I don't personally get offended because they love the box for some reason, so we're good in that book. But it worries me because I worry about their longevity later on. Like if you don't acknowledge someone's past, when you're later on working in the future, someone may not acknowledge your past. And they make hip hop like it's for just young people. And I think that's stupid because it's the only genre that really talks to the whole world. But it's a genre where they say like I remember a young person told me like if you're in your 30s you're OG, and I'm like, what? Like this shit is crazy.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
He's like 3 years older than you, bro. He's your OG. How the hell is this? What's going on? So I think the time, how the youth look at things, I think they have to aim more for longevity and not feel like it's just a verbal sport that you get in and out because rock stars, medalists, R&B players, blues, all of that, they're still rocking arenas and playing to this day in the upper 60s and 70s. So why will we take future checks and bags and digital coin and all of this out of our own pockets by putting a time limit on ourselves? But I also feel on the flip side of it, the elders have to understand technology is more advanced as time goes on. The generation that came after you is supposed to make more money than you.
Yep.
It may offend some, it may be hurtful, they may not carry the culture the way you like, but I always say if a young black man is making money and he's able to bring out his homeboy who's now the manager, his friend who's now the DJ, that's 10 people off the block, a few people off the block that would have been there. So let them make their money and let's teach them more about the culture, and instead of, worrying about them holding old traditions up to a certain standard, they're not, because they don't really know how, and we have to be the ones to teach them. So it has to be a fine line of respect and balance between all age groups. I'd say that's the one thing I'm not so fond of in hip hop today.
No, that makes sense. And if we're talking about forecasting the future, hip hop in the next 50 years with AI, the influence of social media, what would you tell up and coming artists in order to maintain longevity?
Stay yourself and love the culture. Stay true to who you are and love the culture. When you're creating something, I think a lot of artists nowadays, they worry about, there's too many artists that sound like each other nowadays. It's hard to tell who some people are. I'm thinking there's a whole nother dude, and I'm like, hey, that's not him? And it's like, okay. I think being original is important, and I believe having some creative integrity to yourself, to where you're not worrying about what everyone else is doing. The Ferris wheel's gonna go like this. You can't always be at the top, and you can't always try to mimic what other people are doing at the top just to get yourself there. I think you have to stay true to yourself, true to your art, because that's what resonates with people. Sometimes it's not as short and fast as you would like it to be, but it's better to have 100 people who really fuck with you than 1,000 people who don't.
Man, what type of advice, because right now, attention, clout, all of that is a big deal within the industry. How can they say no to opportunities, even knowing that they won't be building as strong as a fan base? How do you kind of navigate those lull periods where hey, you gotta let that bag sit to the side for a minute and wait for the next one?
I don't know their financial situation, so I'm not gonna tell them how to do that. There's times where I've had to get the bag, but this is how you make yourself though. If a person meets you and they're used to 10 other people doing what they did and just getting the bag, you stand a chance of making it if you show integrity in what you're about and figure out a way to be the best you while you're doing what you have to do. You can't turn down every bag, but all money ain't good money either. So you have to be able to discern which is which, like what are you gonna do for what time period and how to make it. And searching for clout and attention is not just a hip hop thing, that's a worldly thing now. That's pretty much, if you pick up any phone and you look at any race, any size, anywhere, different countries, attention is the newest currency that people seem to chase more than anything. So you have to keep that in mind and remain to keep your integrity and just say, I know everyone else is doing this, or the majority of people are doing this, so what about me is gonna stand out? And then it's also the way you carry yourself and talk to the people you're dealing with to get the bag anyway, which is gonna make you different from others, and you just have to keep that in mind and always go with your gut. That's why I try to, not to be funny, but that's why we talk about eating healthy too, because the healthier you are, the better energy you have, and you know when you hear something, it resonates in your gut if it's right or not. And you kind of really know that, but sometimes when your gut's up, you get a little shaky and can't really figure it out. So, follow your gut, follow your instincts, and just also it's good to talk to people who are smarter than you. I'm a firm believer in speaking to people who are smarter than me, wiser than me, or more experienced in something. Now we are in a technology age, so you have the chance to look up information on almost anything and do your research and try to figure out what's exactly going to work for you.
No, that makes sense. So this makes me wonder, like, whether or not this is an old or new artist, who do you think right now or has in your past, or you can give both, that have made big impacts with their lyricism or their art within hip hop in the past 50 years?
There's too many people to name. There's way too many people to name. I believe there's a ton of artists. I believe mostly any artist who you now speak their name out, who's become a household name or a name just period that someone knows has made an impact, because that takes hard work. Mm-hmm. There's hundreds of thousands of artists, I would assume, every day that are working to work their way in the industry. So if someone has actually made it to the point where their name is spread out, or no matter what level it is, they've accomplished something. They've made their mark in history. There's people who've done it through business. There's people who've done it through creativity. But I feel like anyone who has made it to the position of even putting an album out that people notice or recognize, even a few songs, I feel that they've made their mark. So there would be too many artists to name, because I feel like that's the point of making art. Like, sometimes we forget about the basic point of making art is to get the art out there and get people to hear the art, see the art, feel the art, get familiar with the art. And I think if you achieve that, that's the most important part for me, to be honest with you. With anything you do, is to going from point A to Z to saying, all right, it's about to get out. And you have to feel accomplished about that.
No, that makes sense. And you seem to have a really good tap on what hip hop means to you. So celebrating the 50-year mark, what do you think you have brought to hip hop within these 50 years? Like, what do you want your legacy to be, another 50 years from now?
I've been a great messenger, I would say. My job is to talk about health and get my legacy will be the messenger that told the other messengers to get the message out. We started off Juices for Life as just one juice bar in the Bronx. Didn't see it becoming to 5-6 locations, and then expanding to Pharmacy for Life. For the past few years, anyone who knows me knows my passion is about preaching balance and wellness. So to come from my background, some days I go, how the hell am I the guy doing this? To be honest with you, I had no idea. But God puts you where He wants you to be, and I would say my legacy will be that I didn't just speak about it. I was I was officially about it. Like we've rebuilt parks where I'm from. We're gonna continue to rebuild parks. We deal with community centers. We deal with the YMCA. We give out book bags, and we teach the community about their health and just balancing things out. You know, so I'm fortunate enough to have Pharmacy for Life and Juices for Life. God willing, in the next few years, it grows even more. But more than that, because it's not just about what you do, it's about, as I said earlier, what I aim to do, I won't be around for. It's very clear to me, I understand that, but number-wise, it's impossible. I started off the conversation letting you know there's a liquor store and a fast food spot in every hood. My job is to make hip-hop see, make the world see that until we have somewhere healthy, a spot healthy in every hood, it's gonna be impossible for me to achieve that. So that means there has to be like-minded people doing the same thing. So there has to be juice bars in every hood, yoga spots, Pilates spots, stretch spaces, sweat places, great food, just things that are gonna bring health to the neighborhoods. So until there's a healthy spot in every neighborhood, my job is not done, but I was here to start it though.
Hey, I like to hear it. And thinking about moments where you felt like shaped you, what moment in hip hop kind of lives in your heart as a fan?
I live, breathe, eat, sleep hip hop, so it's really hard to say one moment. In all actuality, I feel, you know, when hip hop is something you really live, like my 24 hours in every day is hip hop. You know what I mean? I've been fortunate enough to be part of some great movements. I've been fortunate enough to rhyme alongside Biggie Smalls. I've been fortunate enough to grow up in the town and rhyme alongside DMX, my brother. I've been part of some of the greatest groups in the golden era period. I've been blessed to be called one of the illest lyricists in the era that's full of ill lyricists. So my whole entire being of hip hop is a special moment for me. As the moments go on, like I would say, if I could put it this way though, actually I have one. It was being at the Grammys celebrating 50 years of hip hop. For me, that meant a lot to stand there with all the greats that came before me, paved the way for me to be acknowledged by them, loved by them, for them to appreciate what we do, and to see where hip hop has gone and to actually be there at that moment is one. But also another one is just being able to walk outside on a regular hood block and understand that hip hop affects everybody there. So it's, you know, it's a beautiful, hip hop is some beautiful shit, y'all.
Right.
It is.
It's definitely a mosaic of people's expressions, their experiences, their lives, kind of just given to all of us to enjoy. Do you think that there was a specific person that was a blueprint? Because as you said before, you are setting the stage for somebody else to continue to move the helm along. Who was the person that you kind of took the helm from?
She wasn't in hip hop, but it was my mother. It's my mother. My mom's from South Africa, so I have a mom who got here, made her way, made who she is, and used to always tell me the shit you think is rough is not really rough. It's not really rough, boy. She'd be like, that's not as hard as you think it is to do. So I come from a mom who always made sure to push her way, who made me hungry. I don't know if I would have my love of words if it wasn't for her bringing me to the library every week as a kid, and just introducing me to books and reading and writing. So I would say my mom.
No, that's beautiful, and she has definitely taught you a way with words. And with that in mind, like, you've had some great verses on, like, We Don't Give a F***, the Locked Up remix. Is there any guest verse that you've done that you kind of wish you would have kept for yourself for your solo album?
That's a good question. I never thought about it like that. Nah, because when you want a guest verse, you want to bust ass. You want to make sure they know you was there. Like, you know what I mean? You will remember my verse. So that's, you know, you approach that, like, nah. So whatever I said on somebody else, I probably was showing my ass a little bit. I tend to try to do that when I'm on a guest first.
I love that. I love that. So we have seen a lot of shifts, technological advances, and we've seen everything that's happening within the movie industry, and inevitably is going into the music industry. Like I saw a video not too long ago of Patrick Starr singing Mary J. Blige. With all of this innovation and technology and AI, how do you think that this is going to impact the music industry in general and then its future moving forward?
I'm scared of AI, to be honest with y'all. Like, there's always a plus and minus with everything in the world. I feel creators should create. And to create, a machine creating or mimicking what an artist who is alive is doing is just not cool to me. If AI is going to make music, it should be under AI and AI artists, not mimicking artists who are actually here. And then I like my music with soul in it, pardon me. I like my music to come with a being, from a being with soul. It could be an alien for all I care, but just have some soul, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool with me, so, you know. But I understand that I'm a 48-year-old black man, so the world may not view it as how I view it, so I understand there's pluses and minuses to everything we have. I just hope the stars of today in hip-hop see what's going on, understand what's going on, and make their impact and make sure that hip-hop stays organic and that music stays organic. Like a machine can't, well, I don't know, for the shit they might can now. A machine can't really identify with the most fucked up day in your life or the happiest day in your life or the way you speak to people. Like, just think about common energy on a common day. You walked outside or got here today. There's always a person you see while walking, and like, hi, you don't even know them. And you're just like, hi, or you say, what's up, ahead, nine. And then there's people that you just walk by. So that means there's an energy field out there where we connect. I'm not sure if a machine can do that. You know?
I really don't think it can. I think that's why there's a lot of limitations when it comes to.
And people are going to lose a lot of jobs. Like, I mean, you don't even have to be in hip hop to see that. You just go by a toll booth. Like, you know what I mean? You go by a toll booth, there's no people at toll booths anymore. So, you know, it takes the soul out of shit. Like, I was at a bar somewhere in the airport, and I went to the bar, and I'm sitting down, and I'm waiting for the bartender. And I'm like, there's like 5, 7 bartenders back there. What are they doing? It's a lot of people. And it became you have to scan what's in front of you and order a drink. Now, I happen to be next to a older white lady, an older Spanish man, myself, and someone else. And I was sitting, I was confused. The lady's like, yeah, it's a machine. This world sucks. And I'm like, yeah. And the guy's like, well, the bartender's hitting my phone. I can't tell my blues to him, though. Like, you know what I mean? It took the meaning out what going to a bar and speaking to a bartender used to be, because there was no bartender. And then I got text, would you like another drink? I was like, oh, shit, this is crazy. I mean, you know, so I think technology replaces a lot of things that we don't pay attention to until it's too late. Like, shit, even me, I Whole Foods order sometimes. Years ago, you would have told me I'd let somebody else shop for me. I'd be like, f*** out of here. You ain't touching my greens. You might not smell the limes right, or the avocado, or the salami. You may not be in the right tune. Like, but after a while, you know, you on a roll, you're doing something, you're like, let me order groceries real quick. So I feel technology replaces a lot of people's jobs. And I think that's the part. And my main thing that bothers me the most, if you want to be honest, is artificial intelligence is made by men and women, human beings. Somehow, the human beings think artificial intelligence is going to be better than us, though. How could it be? Like, so I get lost up in where the sense and the logical thinking comes into play with this. Like, man made that. A human made that. You can't start thinking that a machine could replace, that a man made should or could replace us. That's not right. And since we do, that means we're in danger of that actually happening. Because one day, you know, I get high too, so pardon me. She could be like iRobot any day now.
I was about to say, this is giving iRobot.
You can't leave your house, like, you know what I mean?
Look, Will Smith ended up finding a robot with a soul. Will Smith found a robot with a soul. He found one.
You know what I mean? Your computer may tell your phone something. They may tell your car something. Lock you in. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. So I worry about shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Because whatever they're telling you, whatever stages we're at with technology, they're way past that. Like, it's guaranteed they got cars that can fly around here right now. That's it. Whatever they tell you, it's already that. They've been had that technology. They decided to let us out. And I think technology is advancing way far, much more than we are. Like, we still deal with racism. We still dealing with homeless people. We still dealing with people who are starving. That's crazy.
And this is a really good segue into, we see that movies and entertainment, they saw this, they stepped up, they came together, they showed you. Do you think that hip hop and music in general needs to come together and do a similar putting the foot down and saying like, hey, you are not using us and our voices in this way? And if so, what does that coming together look like? It's hard to come together.
I'm not gonna say it's hard to come together. It's not beneficial for most people don't see the beneficial side of coming together because they're thinking about self, which is human nature. But when you start thinking about the generations coming behind you, and you getting the personal benefit, or you reaping the benefit, and think about those coming behind you benefiting, I think you could get together. I think that makes sense. I think people are gonna soon see that if you don't have camaraderie, you don't have a common bond over something that's gonna affect all our lives, and shit is gonna go left. Like, as I said, I'm old enough to remember, a lot of y'all have always dealt with music on your phone. Like, I'm from an era where you had a tape, you had a record, your music, like, you lose your phone, you lost your fucking playlist. You lost every artist you had, you know. You gotta go to the cloud now, pull it back, put it on another device. But what if you don't have your phone? How, like, cars don't even come with tape players, CD players. So now you need the aux, you got your phone. So if you don't, so I feel technology has always had a stronghold on what we're doing, and I think we have to think about that in reverse and figure out how to get a stronghold on the technology.
That makes sense. So who do you think, like, not to put you on the spot or anything, what leaders within your industry you think should really helm that charge, or people that should step up and be like, is it from the artist side? Is it from the back end side? Is it from the business side? Who kind of needs to flip the switch?
I think people think artists are always leaders when they're not. Let's start there. I think anything takes a group of people to do it. It takes a community. It takes a village to raise a child. So looking at an artist as they're the leaders, because fame doesn't make you a leader. Popularity doesn't make you a leader. Even making a lot of money doesn't make you a leader. What makes you a leader is if people are willing to follow you when you do something smart. And if you do something dumb, are you willing to own up to it to have people to continue follow you? So I think what comes with leadership, I think leadership is within all of us, and we have to now as a community stop looking towards famous people to lead us, because that wasn't in their job criteria when they started, and it's hard to put a journey on somebody's soul if you don't know what's in their soul. And whatever part of stage in life you're at, you're in life because they're supposed to be. So it's hard for me to look at somebody and go, I mean, I've been doing a health thing for 13 years, but you never hear me. There's some days I wake up furious that, you know, it's easier to sell liquor than it is a healthy juice. Oof. It's easier to get support doing something stupid than negative, but that's not just music, that's life. I mean, I could go tweet and put on a post here, if you take this concoction right here, if you do this, you eat that, that'll help your diabetes, high blood pressure, common cold, whatever. It's gonna get a certain amount of likes. If I go say some negative shit or just post some dope sneakers or take a picture next to somebody else or say, look at the diamonds on my chain, it's gonna get more likes than that. So human nature pays attention to the wrong shit sometimes, so we have to understand that, combine together, use the people who find it in their soul to do it, because if you put something on somebody with that they don't genuinely want to do, they're not gonna do it in an effective way. So you can't, we have to look at it as, oh, what's coming on. We have the voice. The people, I say, common people have the voice, and people with interest who feel like solving a problem should be the ones solving a problem, not a person with fame just because they're famous, because that doesn't mean they give a fuck.
No, and that's real, and that's part of the reason that Reddit thrives the way it does. It's a group and different communities of regular people coming together to make real change.
But that's not regular. Like, even if you look where we at, look at the formation, look what's going on, look at the different things you do. Just because everyone's not famous doesn't make it regular. That's all special. That's all like-minded people doing something that have a common goal, or that have something in common, or have a vision, or share a vision, or share a likeness of a vision. I say, this is how we do it. Who's the famous person behind Reddit? Who's the major rapper behind Reddit? Who's the major athlete behind Reddit? There is none, because you don't particularly need it. Who's the famous rapper behind Instagram? Who's the famous rapper behind Twitter? Who's the famous rapper behind Google? You don't particularly need a famous rapper, actor, or athlete to do something very extraordinary. You just need extraordinary people who want to get to a goal, and there you have it. That's why we're sitting here talking today.
No, I love that. Yes, clap it up. The focus on community and building is beautiful. Well, I know we're starting to get up on time, but I know a big community that definitely had a couple rapid fire questions for you.
Let's go.
r/hip hop head. Shout out to y'all. So we're going to keep going fast. So I'm going to give you like 10, 15 seconds, maybe less to answer, but let's go. So first off, we have, what's the best live show that you have done or seen?
I haven't done it yet.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. Which song in your career was the most challenging to write?
I'm black.
Ooh. If you could select someone besides Dipset for the Lock's Face versus battle, who would it be?
Mobb Deep and Prodigy was alive.
Yes. How many songs have you recorded that have never been released?
A lot.
I like it a lot. Who is someone you've always wanted to collaborate with but haven't yet?
Marvin Gaye.
Ooh, I would love that. And then last but not least, what is your favorite community, if any, on Reddit?
This one.
Hey, there you go. I like it. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Styles, for you to come out here. Like, round of applause real quick, because he has really put us on. Yes, the power of community reign high today.
Yeah.